You also shared this before, but it's been so long since we've had you in. I want you to share Elizabeth's story because her story you heard at the International Justice Mission Global Prayer Gathering, and it changed your life. And would you mind sharing Elizabeth's story? Because you really give honor to her, but it brings the humanity to this giant, big issue.
I think the reason that Elizabeth's story moves me so much, now I know her as a person, and so it's even more so troubling, but it mobilized me so much because she was a Christian. She's a believer. She was the oldest of 7 children. So her goal was between her sophomore and junior year. She was on summer break. So this is any 15-year-old you and I would know. And she wanted to go to Bible college. And so she traveled with a woman. A woman in her community said, there are no good jobs here. Come with me to my community, and I'll find you a good job.
And a family friend, wasn't she?
Yeah, and the mother... Everyone felt like this was a good idea. Packed Elizabeth's bags, sent her off, see you at the end of the summer. And as she traveled with this woman, not a brief, few miles outside of the protection of her home, this woman turned on her, took her physically captive, began to verbally berate her, and sold her in a very quick, short amount of time to a human trafficker. And so that woman gets this money, and then Elizabeth's nightmare begins, and she was trafficked into a country where she didn't speak the language. She found herself 15 years old in this place, and she was there 8 months. She said, I did the only thing I knew how to do, and that was pray. She called out to God. She said, just like Psalm 10, my enemies surrounded me and would mock her and say, God cannot hear you. He doesn't listen to a girl like you in a place like this. And she said, I'll never forget her little voice, her sweet voice. She said, still I believed. And she prayed, and the story of her rescue, now that I know it from the other side, the investigation work in that country had just begun, and Elizabeth was their first rescue, and it was a needle in a haystack operation. When they got her out, someone had taken pictures of the room, and the chief investigator was looking through the pictures, and a picture came up with some words, and he asked a local, what does this say? And he said, she's written in her own language, the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life, of whom shall I be afraid? And she had written this psalm on the wall above this mattress where she was seeing 10 to 15 men a day, where she was so horrifically abused. And the neat story is she was rescued, but then IJM is so diligent in seeing that through. And so she entered aftercare. She went to the college that she had hoped to go to. She is now studying to get her master's degree in social work and is just an incredible human being, very generous to share her story. I met her in Washington, D.C., sharing her testimony. And I left that room that night saying, if she can talk about the worst moments of her life, through her tears, expose herself in this way, how much more so could I be advocating and talking about these girls? And I just offered God all my abilities. And that I remember just sitting at the table, Lord, every ability I have, please let me do this. Let me do this work. And walked out of the room and wrote... When the Saints was the first song I wrote after that experience, and then it's just been a part of my music since then, really.